No, this is mind games. He's got a really strong hand.
I thought you were about to go for the neutralizer.
Oh man, I got hoofed in the Nudge with something fierce on Friday.
You posted.
It was a bloody white belt. We were doing a drill. We're doing the drilling counts. He's partnered with me, and Colin stood right next to him explaining what to do, and he's not quite getting it. It's basically what I'm supposed to do is I kick, and he's supposed to block the kick.
Yeah.
And while we're doing it really slow in counts, I'm waiting there with my leg up, because then on the next count I'm going to step forward, and he's then going to, counter against me.
Yeah.
Fine. So nice and slowly, I kick him so he can block it really slow. And while I'm still stood there with my foot up in the air, he completely loses what he's doing, completely freaks out. He goes, "Ah, whoa!" Football kick right in the chutneys.
Yes, please. Right. Character advancements. There's no rules for it at the moment, but this is what we're going to do. You can take 2 of your skills, which are rated from 0 to 4, and add 1 to them.
Yeah.
Or you can increase your 5 skill to 6.
Who
did?
Any of you?
Drinks.
Drinks, yes please.
Thomas?
Can I have a glass of water, please?
What do you want?
5 skill to 6 because my character wouldn't
Sorry?
be able to.
Yes.
Could I try for a little bit of sugar or sweetener in it, please?
Sorry?
Could I try for a little bit of sugar in it, please?
Which would you prefer, sugar or sweetener?
Oh, I'm easy either way.
You
what
just
if
flip,
we have
just flip the token
I've
over.
done sweetener.
Just a 6, yeah, cool.
We know you're easy, Dave, but you don't need to act.
I'm going to improve my profession by 1 to make it 5.
Sorry, Ross, I didn't listen.
Character improvement. Oh, sorry, coffee.
I'm not listening at all to the other bit.
Okay.
Get back.
I need a 5. This is a 4. And I'm going to up my initiative to 3. So I can be prompt. Okay, it's a 3.
My initiative's 0.
Alright, going up from ballistics to 4, which has got a 4 on the back of it.
Yeah.
So
Flip the chip. If you put it flat, it's easier.
might be difficult.
If you put it... Yes!
Helicopter goes into the pub and says, can I have a pint, please? And the barman says, sorry, we only serve plain.
What's technical? I don't think I've ever used it.
Technical is like jury rigging technology, repairing things. It's what Aladdin does. The M1 goes into a pub,
And I'm
goes
gonna
up to the
up
barman, says,
CQC to 1.
close quarters combat?
Yeah.
Says, on the M1 on the biggest motorway in the UK, buy me a pint.
I know this one. It's good though.
I don't know it.
Carry on.
So the barman goes, oh, okay. He pours him a pint, he gives it over. So he sits there drinking his pint. And then the M6 or the M42 comes in, and the M1 says, oi, on the M1 on the biggest motorway in the UK, you buy me a pint. And the M42 goes, oh, and he buys him a pint. So he sits there and drinks the other pint. And then the A38 comes in, and the M1 goes, on the M1 on the biggest motorway in the UK, you buy me a pint. And the A38 goes, ah, gives it to him. And the B3236 comes in, and the M1 goes over, on the M1 on the biggest motorway in the UK, you buy me a pint. So he goes, ah, buys me a pint. This little thin strip of red concrete comes in, and the M1 dives behind the bar, quaking in his boots. Barman goes, what's up with you? You think you're the M1, you're the biggest motorway in the UK.
Thank you.
And the M1 says, I'm not messing with him, he's a psychopath. you want to increase a couple of skills?
I want you to wait for me to get there.
Okay.
So a man goes into a pub with a camel, and he ties the camel up to the bar rail, and he has a swift pint, and he has another one, and then he looks at his watch and thinks, oh, I better get back to work. And as he's going towards the door, the barman says, hey, you can't leave that lion round here. He says, that's not a lion, that's a camel. How does Bob Marley like his donuts? We're jamming. You not heard that one?
A friend of mine cosplays. He cosplays as either Matt Damon characters or as Hugh Jackman characters. He uses the same jacket for both. Sometimes he's born with it, sometimes he's Wolverine. Oh! Oh!
I love it. I love terrible jokes.
Should have my friend Dave on Facebook. Dave the Author. Every so often he'll go through a slew of just spewing these things out.
I seriously, I kind of collect them.
That's honestly popped in my head the same time.
What were we watching the other day? Oh, we watched Transformers Age of Extinction the other day.
God, please don't.
Do you wish you hadn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cursing Kelly because it was her pick, not mine.
Okay.
I don't know. I just said, oh, that'd be interesting. And
Yeah,
then,
you said it in that'll be interesting. Right? I've been with you long enough to know what that means.
But you put it on. I was like, oh, I will watch it then.
Yeah.
It was
Mark Wahlberg's all right.
No, he's not.
He's all right for he's Marky Mark doing his stuff. But why is Optimus Prime a murderer? Because he's all like, I'll kill you all. Well, that's not very Optimus Prime, is it? It's just a long, incoherent mess. Although, one of the Autobots was voiced by John DiMaggio. So every time he was there being all Autobot-y, I was just going...
Well, that's what I said what Baby did in Kid's tummy. Did that. I'm sticking with it.
I'm trying to figure out if, because there's this new series on Tiny Pop called Transformers Rescue Bots. I'm trying to figure out if Optimus Prime is voiced by Peter Cullen in that as well.
I think he is.
Because I think it's only Beast Wars that he didn't voice in.
I think he probably is.
Isabel, it just sounds to me. Ooh, baby. Ooh. Ah. He's awesome. Right, what am I doing?
Skills.
Yeah.
You may increase 2 of your skills by 1 point.
Which of the
Or
skills? These or these?
The ones at the bottom. Or
Right.
you can increase your level 5 skill to level 6. Your level 5 is shooting.
Right. Or I could do what was the
Or you
third
can
one?
increase any 2 other skills by 1 point each.
Right, okay.
Or you can increase one other skill by 2 points if you want to.
What's either?
EVA, extra
Oh, yeah.
vehicular.
Profession is like my mercenary skills. I think I might increase that by 2.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because I've been using that a bit and it's not brilliant. Doesn't really matter, does it? Or does it?
It's all good.
I love you so much. Okay. You're recording this now, yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Don't mention she's naked.
You can see my head floating.
It's a floating Yoda head.
I've got the Lego Yoda head.
I see, I thought it said yoga head and then I get that. Anyway.
In school on Lego back on Lego. Star Wars. Yoda head.
Remember it many, many times.
Where had we left it?
Oh,
Oh yes, you were at Braddon, and you just kind of pulled up alongside the Intrepid, the explorer ship.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dig it!
And that's where we'll leave it today. I think that's how it ended last time.
Yeah. Got to leave it in a good place. Oh, and I think you'd made a link with the ship's computer.
Yes, because we were trying to find stuff out, and that's where we left it because you didn't tell us what we'd found
Yes,
out.
because I hadn't written it down then.
I don't know, but it looks suspiciously like
I am
Worlogog.
quite surprised I remembered that.
I don't remember any of this. The last bit I remember was talking to
It's
the
a
chap.
fairly good generic font.
I like Worlogog. It's good.
Okay, so with relative ease, you get into the ship's log. The ship had been working in the next system over in the Sacellum system for possible jump routes. Sacellum's not massively exploited or set up yet because it's at the end of quite a tricky jump route. Pulling out your databases from whatever sources that you've got at the moment, neither the Ithcal or the corporation have put much in the way of investment into it. It's a relatively straightforward system, 7 or 8 planets. You've got a hot zone, a green zone, asteroid belt, and then the blue zone at the far end. Typical composition, nothing really that shines out about it.
It must be a jumper.
Yeah, sure. No, it's not a jumper.
That's right. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, nothing that really shines out about it to write home about. Aside from, it usually takes about 8 to 12 months to fully scan a solar system for wormholes. There's normally a process where you send out energy pulses through the shunt drive and it kind of pings back as to where they might be. They'd been there for 6 months and they'd found 8 possible wormholes.
Oh, that's not good.
Which is phenomenal. If you look at Convergent, that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To find 8 potentials is almost unheard of. Most systems have 2, maybe 3.
The more wormholes there are,
Mhm.
does that make
Places
it
we don't.
more difficult to navigate?
No.
Oh, that's okay.
No. It's the jump routes along each wormhole that determine how difficult it is. On the map that I've drawn there, I've put central with 3 routes off it. It's got a lot more than that.
Okay.
What determines how big each of these circles are? Is it numbers of planets? Is it distance between planets?
It's relative importance.
Right, so it has nothing to do with the actual size of the system or anything like that. Okay.
It's a bit like the London Underground map. There's no relation to what it actually looks like.
Although I'll be more than up for playing Mornington Crescent on this map with you.
How can you play Mortal Present on that? Your shunt drive will be exploding all the time.
It's a 2006 addendum.
Ah. Makes perfect sense.
According to Schengen rules, shunt drives exploding make you go much quicker.
But that would put all red routes in Cnid. But most of the possible routes out of the system were like classified red plus, which were exceptionally tricky. The way wormholes seem to work is that the more traffic that you get down them, the easier it becomes to navigate them.
The passing of ships acts like an iron to all of the wrinkles in space-time. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I took the path less travelled. Where am I? Hashtag Ingress. And that's your fault, by the way, me going like that.
I've done that precisely once.
I know.
Where did I get it from? I think it was your sister.
No, it's John Oliver.
Oh, John Oliver does it.
What culture?
No, who says hashtag whatever, but the actual hashtag
Yeah, John
thing.
Oliver or what culture is one of the two.
Okay.
Curse that Adam Pacitti. Yeah, so this thing had a lot of routes, most of them very tricky, which means that they've not been used before, or they're relatively new wormholes, or...
So you would say they were routes, bloody routes.
You see that mountain? There's a seat next to it. Get in. um,
Yes.
yeah. So, for whatever reason, they left before they could complete the scan.
Okay. No, but there's nothing in the logs that shows what it is.
Doing a little bit more digging. This is going to take a little bit longer. The last log entry, the ship had discovered the 8th possible wormhole, which opened from the other side. Something came through it, and then there's a massive shockwave of energy, which wiped out all of the probes that they were using.
How do wormholes work here? Is it like Babylon 5 where you've got those like gate things that hold them open? Or
That's what the shunt drive does.
that's what the shunt drive in a ship does?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does it do? Like pierce space at a weaker point? Or
They're
how does it
They're
How do
either
you identify a wormhole? If we know?
what the ships do, you kind of get the operating logs up. What the ships does, it uses they have specially designed probes with miniature shunt drives on them. They then get sent out in a sphere around the ship, and they kind of emit very small pulses to the shunt drive. That can then build up a map of space around the area, and then any weaknesses show up relatively easily. It's time consuming because it's relatively short. You can't do it once in the middle of the system and then map the whole load. So you need to kind of circumnavigate. So they'll do one lap of the ecliptic and then one at 90 degrees and another one at 90 degrees towards that. These things are normally deployed in rings of 8 around the ship. According to the logs, all 20 of the probes that this ship was equipped with, this thing is designed for long-term operations, all 20 of them are gone. Now, that's really quite rare. They're 250,000 each. So
something powerful fried them when it came
Well, no.
down.
Gone is missing, or gone is broken.
Gone is missing. Not
Removed from,
docked.
or
Not docked. Not there.
right.
I'm guessing we're going to have to travel there and find out what's what.
Yeah, because is it something that just because they don't whatever came through the wormhole, is it a situation where they don't want them to find it, so they've destroyed the thing that helps them find it, or is it like the planet that we were on last time where they were trying to get the shunt drive because that helps their cause? Possibilities.
Yeah.
Does this mean we're going to have to buy more Nokias to strap to our...
When one finds a weak point in space, the shunt drive pierces it.
Yeah.
You then travel through hyperspace, which is significantly shorter than real space, to another point where you pierce out again.
The shunt drive has to stay open, but wormholes have got like a natural length. They don't go to anywhere. They've got a specific location at the other end of it.
Right, so it's not like hyperspace. It's a wormhole with a tube almost.
Yes.
Like in a Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
The wormhole to the Gamma Quadrant.
Okay. But where these tubes lead, you don't know until you get to the other end, and then somebody says the tube that starts here goes there.
Yeah.
Because none of these have been mapped, we have no idea where they go to.
Exactly.
And in theory, they could go anywhere.
Because it might not be in any of the known space.
Right. Exactly. I've got these maps
But
out.
generally, if you go there, you can come back.
Yep. Wormholes are fixed. Whoever
And they don't move in space.
Whoever created the labyrinth, which is the name for the net of wormholes, but it's not really known if it's a natural phenomenon or if it was physically created or whatever. But it is once a wormhole is established and then travelled down, it becomes easier and easier and easier. Like I said, easier to travel to it. But they all pop out in the same target system, and minor fluctuations, pretty much the same location.
Okay. But when the because they were saying, "Oh, I go in a wormhole and I'm a brilliant pilot, but I might not come out the other end," kind of thing. So just because they are fixed, but they're not fixed.
They are
travelling
fixed
through the
but
wormhole's dangerous.
they can be difficult.
Right. Okay.
There are kind of plasma storms and
Right. Okay.
eddies
Okay. Just
with the
wanna know
bolt
That
in
long
his
fight.
forehead.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of, unfortunately, Star Trek the motion picture with the asteroid and the thing. No!
Belay that phaser. Yeah.
And now you're sad because you remember Star Trek the motion
I
picture.
quite liked it.
Oh.
Christopher, was it Christopher Lloyd as there?
No, that's
That was, I know that was
Such
three.
Spock. Yeah,
Who played the Klingon captain?
that was Christopher Lloyd in Such a Spock. Yeah.
No, in motion picture.
Not sure.
I've seen them.
Oh, is it John Larroquette?
Yes. D7s. Get the Klingons out of the bloody birds of prey and put them into proper D7 battle cruisers.
So it's looking like we're going to have to go there.
Have people come back from this place other than this one ship?
This one ship came back
In half.
in half. Well, basically part of the shunt drive was sheared off because it looks like it failed, that the wormhole closed
Before the whole ship had
before the whole
existed?
ship had come out.
Have other people gone there and come back?
Yeah. There wouldn't be, they wouldn't have given a name to the system at the far end. So there's all these other systems around the edges of civilized space which don't have names yet because they haven't been
Travelled to enough.
travelled to.
So they're colonised and things.
So Selim, there are a few remote monitoring and science locations.
But no major.
So if
So
you're in Central
information comes
and
back then.
you do something really, really bad, that's the equivalent of being sent to a weather station in Alaska.
No, that's far away to the side of frontier. That's Coventry.
Oh,
But so there's information coming back through the portals all the time.
Yeah.
So we know that they're okay at the other end, kind of thing, and
There's been
actually there's not as much risk as one would think going there.
there's no through traffic because the wormholes at the other side haven't been
They don't know where they go to.
poked
at
and
the other
opened and
end.
mapped.
Yeah, but there's destination traffic.
So there's something that's in the wormholes at that side that could cause a very big pulse of
well,
something.
we don't know.
but we don't know
Something
what-
came through the wormhole into that system, but we don't know what it is.
And it's at that point that everything cuts out on the system.
It took out the first ring of probes that they'd used. They then sent out another ring of probes, which picked up a fairly small transit object. It looked like another probe of a slightly different design. It was emitting this same kind of energy, almost like subspace energy, which was kind of pulsing and building and building and building. That then popped and detonated as well and took out the next ring of probes.
Okay.
So something else is possibly mapping the network.
Avoid that bit.
Well, maybe not.
Well,
Because we've got to
we-
find out what it is, isn't
Yeah.
we?
But when you say took
in-
out the probes, how do you mean took out the probes?
EMP frying them.
Yeah, 'cause
They-
if that's that. We have nothing against it.
Obviously, the first wave, there's no recorded whatever.
No.
The probes were there. This shock wave kind of sphere of energy came from out of it, which then just vaporized them effectively.
Right. Okay.
They had a slightly better scan. They turned up the ship sensors for the next ring of probes that came through, and it was an exotic matter pulse effectively.
Because this was quite a while ago.
This was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
And how far away was the first one that happened? What was the time difference between?
Oh,
the first set?
they pretty much picked up and started coming back as soon as the
I'm really trying. I'm troubled. What you're saying is going on. A ship came from wherever we are, Braddon to Salima with probes on it, sent
Yeah.
the probes out,
Spent
Then-
6 months mapping it.
6 months mapping it, then all of a sudden a burst of energy happened.
Something came through one of the other wormholes.
And,
Then
knocked
there's-
out the
yeah.
20 probes, but not the ship that they were attached to.
Yeah.
Then
They
another
then
ship
they
came.
then turned tail
Right, the ship went back to Braddon.
and came back to Braddon,
Yeah.
and then something happened in the wormhole.
So what
back
about
to
the
Braddon.
second set of probes? Where did they come from?
They sent the second set of probes out to
Whilst they were heading
find
back.
out what happened to the first set of probes.
So they had the probes out there. The
Yeah.
thing came through the wormhole.
Destroyed them,
Destroyed them all. They immediately sent out a second
Yeah.
set of probes and let turn tail.
and then when that second set of probes was destroyed, then they
So what
turned
was
tail.
the time difference between the two sets of probes being destroyed?
2 hours.
Thank you.
So, and so, yeah, when the second set of probes went, they then came through your floaty head.
Your
Um,
disembodied head.
It's the best part of me.
You're like a fiery.
Lost train of thought. Hang on. Yeah. So on the way back, and so they'd gone into the wormhole, and it's when they came out of the wormhole at the Braddon system that
Yeah.
it appeared with only half of it.
Yep.
So one would assume when they jumped into that wormhole from Cecellum, whatever it was that possibly pulsed may have followed them.
Possibly.
Maybe.
I would think also they don't like the way that shunt drives work, whatever they are, because the probes who are effectively doing mini shunts all the time
Yeah.
are sending something out and then they did it again and then another bash. And then when the ship came back and obviously had to use a bigger shunt drive to open the wormhole. What?
They don't. No. That's perfectly good. It's like they don't like the vibration. They're graboids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my theory.
So, let's go.
That's obviously presuming it's sentient. So one would hope, just on the information that we've got, they were there for 6 months and it was absolutely fine. There are colonies there and they're absolutely fine. There are people going backwards and forwards and most of them are fine. So, the ship...
There are long distance scientific observation stations there.
who are fine.
That we know of,
Because they send information back through the wormhole, so they're fine.
as far as we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why would we think that they're not fine? Because they're sending information back on a regular basis.
But they might not be sending stuff back. We don't necessarily know.
There's a supply ship from the company, surprisingly enough, every 6 weeks.
Oh right, that's the information.
So
I was thinking they were sending like on a daily
Bad
basis.
call,
Or something.
Ripley. It was a bad call.
You didn't tell me it was aliens. That would be bad.
So we've done all the research and stuff from this side, and we should go through and
There are more questions that you can ask, but I'm not going to tell you what they are.
When's the next company ship due through? After
3 weeks' time.
3 weeks.
we're halfway through the cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and none of the reports that came back from in the previous batch indicate anything out of the ordinary.
There was some excited chatter that the fact that the Intrepid had got in contact with the research colony that's out
Yeah.
there and said, guys, we found 6 wormhole possibles at the time.
So it's like nerd.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
has
scientific-
the,
Like
the
the Franks on the other side are like with the hay and the hoy and the goods. Oh!
and had the research colonies witnessed or had any disturbances that could be like that power? So it was the first time that was ever felt that they
We haven't had any information back from the colonies since this happened.
No.
Because I forget they don't do like deep space communication.
Apart from the obvious back end of the Intrepid being sheared off, are there any other signs of damage, or does it look like it's been in some sort
was
of
it
battle?
literally just like and sliced?
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Razor
And has
sharp.
anyone made any attempts since we've gone there to actually go back into the wormhole to see if it's there?
There's no recorded.
What happened to the crew?
The crew well, it carries a crew of 26. It's an Ithcal ship, which it usually tends to be for real deep space exploration.
Mhm.
The Ithcal do it just for the love of it. Corvo will do the same sort of thing, but only if they know that they can gain from that. I need you to try and dig a little bit harder because that's the records on Brad and Alpha.
Alright. Do you want me to do another hacking check?
Yes, please. Well, you probably have to land. Oh, didn't you have a cargo?
We did have a cargo.
We did have a
It was
cargo.
a very, very basic,
Yeah.
above board. Like we've got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen delivery.
Yeah.
We got to move these refrigerators.
I'm on 5. That's a bit tricky. I'll say 10 play 1.
Because all of those cards you have there are 1s and 2s.
So it'd be link plus hacking.
Yeah. So you land,
Mhm.
designated thing, you hand over your cargo, and
Cargo.
get your pay, which is fantastic.
Stock up on some road snacks.
I'm going
Cornettos.
Tasty
Seven-
humans.
Cornetto.
Cornetto.
17, but
Right.
it's sort of hacking-y thing, so
Yeah.
Feed some stuff to the autofac.
2 of those.
19.
And I get 2 cards because I've got 2 for link, so 17, 18, 19, 20.
Okay, that's fantastic. So you log in, and it takes a little bit of effort and work to get hold of it. There were 4 survivors who have all been taken to secure medical facilities, but they were sent specifically to Ithcal medical facilities, not the kind of more generic.
Will our handy dandy
Is that
kind of
normal?
Usually they'd go to whoever.
will our handy dandy corporation standing allow us access to this hospital?
Well, we're technically not with them.
Well, yeah, but we do have
We're undercover with them.
some.
I forget the company's a Corvo.
I'm not a Corvo.
I'm work for the company, so we're gonna.
What are visiting hours?
Visiting hours are 9 to 6, but if you turn up at 9 to 5, but if you turn up at 6:10. I know you'll already have found some way to get me in your room. One empty bottle with the holes across the bottom. Alanis Morissette, come on! So that's the first album as well. Overplayed pants. I quite like her. Although
She doesn't understand what irony is.
no,
Which is the only ironic thing about that song.
and the fact that she got given an American Songwriters Award for it.
Yeah.
The whole.
Although I discovered the other day Tony Iommi's won an Ivor Novello award. Is there any way that we can get in and see them?
Well, Aladdin can't.
You stay with the ship, try not to eat anybody.
All feed stuff to the.
You and the autofac, who will eat whom first?
This is a major stare out conversation.
Okay, and with my
Except the autofac is played by the same computer that Kevin Spacey played in Moon.
I was thinking of the what was the name of the film?
Howdy, doodly doo.
and with my +6 in technical, I will stick googly eyes onto the autofac.
I'm Facky the autofac. I'm also a toaster.
Would you like a muffin?
Making
Given the card
toast.
is
Holly,
infinite
Holly,
and the
come
space
on.
is also infinite, would you like a toasted tea cake?
Making
Holly.
toast.
I'd like to go and try and see them, and then if I can go and see them, I'm going to use my hive mind hyperlink to just rather than asking questions.
Yeah, just
I
go when you're
can
ready,
just
then.
go. I can just go. Nyum. And then I go, and realise that there is no Swarfika for the mind.
Dubs.
So yeah, I'm going to try that.
I
You're
put
gonna go
the
when you're
tube in
ready.
one ear and the WD-40 comes out the other ear. Mental lubrication.
Sometimes this thing, it just rings and it keeps on ringing and it doesn't stop until I pick it up. But then the voices start. Please.
Are you going alone?
I think if I go on my own,
You got a limo.
I have got a limo.
Should we take it with us?
Yeah, because we totally pimped out the limo, didn't we?
It's a limo, it's pre-pimped.
We
It had some bullet holes in it.
extra
Go
pimped
faster,
it.
holes, everybody knows.
Cool the engine quicker.
So anyway, I'm going to go to the hospital.
Okay. You go to the hospital. It's like a hot warming thing. It's in the Corvo section of town. Corvo section?
Ishcal.
No, the Ishcal section of town. So it's got all of the decor and whatever. I don't know. Your space otters. So it looks like it's made out of twigs and dried mud or something. I don't know.
It is pleasing and soothing.
Sweeping lines, but without the kind of organic ick that the Corvo stick everywhere. Okay. And it's nice to speak your own language, and you. Okay, so there's a front desk with a reception, and then you can kind of walk in and go around. There's a visitor centre, and whatever. It's Derriford. It's space Derriford, filled with otters.
Oh, now I'm sad. Next time I go to Derriford, it's going to be filled with people.
Hey, you just go to the otter sanctuary.
Yeah.
I see
But
Derriford's
I'll find it
still
difficult to
gonna
get my physio at the altar. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to go there and I'm going to be... They've been moved to this facility, which is unusual.
Yeah.
But, it's not been all like clandestine and smoke and dagger and like CIA.
They're in like or the report said that they've been taken to intensive care, which is normally relatively secure.
Okay, that's fine. I take it I've gotten the names from the manifest. I'm just going to try the direct approach and go to the front desk and in Otter kind of say, oh, I've got my little rock. And I offer them the rock as a kind of thing, like, no, but I'm here to see, insert names here,
Yeah.
I understand they've been brought here.
The receptionist kind of goes, okay, I'll just look them up for you. And your name?
I give my name. I'm not wanted or anything. That's all been taken care of. So I give my name.
Okay,
That's fine.
So she kind of types the details into the system, and you kind of stood at the reception desk, and it's a big, wide kind of desk, and she was kind of facing side on to you, and there's a little flashing red light on the screen.
So I kind of make light of it and kind of go, oh, do I need to be alarmed about that? Am I due my flu shot or something?
Kindly take a seat, please, and somebody will be down to see you soon.
Oh, okay. Can I use my hyperlink at this point to kind of...
It's a voluntary
It's a voluntary thing. I
Yeah.
can't just read their mind. Okay, right. Okay.
Cox.
Feel the power.
Good thing we gave you that Nokia break. If you really need to, you can call this. Yeah.
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to use my comlink and just kind of go. Things might be going a little bit badly right now.
Find a little bit badly.
Oh god, we're all going to die.
No, it's not that bad. Well,
Oh, if I go there, it might be.
yeah, well,
That's why I've gone and not you. You'd have already threatened to eat all the otter people.
Well, we stopped whatnot. They're already dead.
They're in a hospital. It's a morgue.
see Dr. Cox dead. Oh, you got a chance of surviving.
Welcome to Dr. Kevorkian's family clinic.
I'm actually an amazing doctor.
What?
Who gives them
Why not Zoidberg?
who gives all of his patients really, really bad diarrhea.
Flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. Who knew?
Now I'm imagining Dr. Nick as a space otter.
Okay, so after about 5 minutes, doctor comes down with a couple of nurses, goes to the reception desk.
Yeah.
She points over to yourself.
Okay.
They kind of look over to you, and then they walk over. You were asking about the patients from the Intrepid. Have you any relationship to the...
Aren't we all one big family?
Oh, that's good. That's good. Can we have a that's a cunning test? Yes.
Yay! I'm highballing this.
Yeah.
14.
Say 5, 2. How many cards you on?
7.
Oh, sorry. It'll be mind plus.
Oh, mind plus, so mind. Oh, that's a 1. So
That's
that's
a
it.
1.
That's in fact 15.
That's a 15. Okay.
I'll say, aren't we all one family? But
And I'm on 5 play 2, so I've got 5, 8. 17.
But I'm going to continue, even though I'm seeing that my charming patter's not working. I'm going to carry on saying, but where I have a professional interest in what's happened, as you know, we're all spacefarers, and I'd like to try and understand what's gotten them into this predicament.
Come with me, please. Or come with us, please. So you get led into the back, secure turbo lift, goes up 20 floors or whatever. Silence in the lift. Music, obviously, but no chatter from these people. No, I didn't think that was a music one, or was that Lindonna?
No,
Oh yeah, they did.
There's a
use it.
checklist that they had to become trashy lift music.
Yeah.
Get you goomers, I love you. Bow, chicka, bow.
That's what my baby said. I'm a heart starts bumping. Chicka chicka choo wow. Never gonna stop and kitchi goo means that I love you.
So I'm imagining this in the
Something like that, yeah.
You know that's always playing from this person's room, yeah?
So the lift stops, you get out, and the doctor turns to you and he says, or she says, before we go any further, this is a very, very secure area. No information about what you see in here is to go any further. Okay, we appreciate you coming forward and specifically asking. There's been very, very little help, which is, as you know, not necessarily our way. So taken through a security double doors, and you ask for a kind of a paw print and a retina scan and a nose print analysis, or whatever passes for biometric verification. That takes about 5 or 10 minutes as your records are checked and kind of logged, and then you get given a little
visitor's pass.
Yeah. Multipass.
Okay.
And you're taken in there, and it's not a hospital ward because it's an ITHCAL thing, and it's a lot more open and a lot more things like that. But curtained off down the far end, you get led through, and you can tell straight away that there's something wrong. You can always sense the presence of other ITHCAL, even if you're not in hyperlink for them. You can kind of, it's a reassuring knowledge that somebody else is there.
Otter sense is tingling.
Yeah.
Which is why you've got to go back to them every now and again, because it's like...
To reinforce that. These aren't part of it. It's
Are they
void walkers.
void walkers?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, you know, you would not be, or you'd become a Void Walker if you hadn't been able to enter hyperlink for, more than a month or so. These 4 were on a ship with 20 or so other Ithcal.
Yeah.
Not an issue. It's possible that but very, very rare for you to voluntarily become a Void Walker by effectively cutting out the organ that does the work. It's just at the base of the neck, and it's called the ith, which is why you call it Ithcal. The doctor points out no damage. The organ is still there.
Okay.
It's still functioning. It's just that they aren't connected.
Can that be fixed?
Are they awake?
They are. They're in a kind of fugue state.
Have you tried poking them with the long stick?
As in they're catatonic.
So I can try talking to
Me
them, but I'm
at
not
work.
likely to.
They look at you and it's got that kind of slack recognition. You know that if you put food in their hands, they'll
Eat it.
they'll be able to eat.
So it's just like if they were from Camborne.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll sit with them in the most kind of like reassuring and kind of kind way I can. I'll ask them what happened. Can you tell me what happened?
We were on the ship. We were with the people. We came back.
Did all of them come back?
4 of them came back.
Just the 4. There's only 4 survivors.
Could it be because they were ripped apart
Mm.
during like a connection? Does that happen?
Does that happen?
And I guess you
Like if
can't
somebody got
go in
shot
their
while they
mind
were
right now, can you?
No.
in a connection, would the other person, with the other otter?
It depends. To form a
Five.
proper hyperlink effectively, there needs to be at least 5,
Okay.
and it's like it's not a bond between 2 people. It's a bond between a group of
Yeah,
Oh,
but
like,
if a large proportion of
yeah.
that died
were killed.
during in that.
Like in what's it film with the eye thing? It has the police that know what happens before.
Minority Report.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it like the?
No,
The psychics, the
not,
precogs.
not quite like that. Effectively, if there are a hyperlink and enough of them get killed that it falls below the minimum thing, they just get pushed out of hyperlink. It's traumatic and it takes a while to get over it.
But you
But
would get over it.
You would get over it.
Right, you wouldn't end up like this.
So
No.
whatever link severed that link is really messed them up. Possibly.
Something came through the wormhole, didn't it?
A probe or a scout or a ship, very small ship.
Did it look like a ship that we've seen before? Did it look like a Corvo ship or an Ishkal ship or?
No, not full ship. Probe, like our probes. Older, but like our probes.
Okay. Were you attacked?
Attack is relative. The ship wasn't attacked. We weren't attacked.
So why did you leave so quickly?
Captain made decision. Thing had taken out all of the probes.
Captain isn't one of the 4.
No, these 4 were probe operators.
They have no psychic link or anything with probes or anything.
No.
Um,
The way they're talking, it's a little bit like in Dragon Age, the people who can't do magic but make magic items.
The guys that have been
The
made
still
tranquil.
tranquil. That's the word.
so the lights are on and there's somebody behind the wheel, but they're not really.
I don't know. Here's a question: have you met Void Walkers before?
How common are void walkers? I've probably met 1 or 2, but
Yeah.
only really in passing,
Mm-hmm.
not had any kind of extensive dealings with them.
People that become Void Walkers deliberately, which are the majority of them, there's definitely something about them. They're not considered damaged, but they're considered different. People there's a sense of pity towards people towards Ithcal that become void walkers just through lack of contact.
Yeah.
Because the urge to go back and not and stay.
Yeah.
It's not quite pon far, but it's quite a pull. Quite a pull.
But
Do some
the void
suggestions.
walkers that people would have, then they're not like this. They're not as spaced out
Nope,
as these
they're
people are.
nowhere near as.
Because there's something different about them emotionally, but intelligence-wise, they're still fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's something else as well. They've been traumatized as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I'm
you know,
kind of because I'm going on to the statement of it will look the probe looked older. I would like to look into have other probes gone out there years ago. Did it get lost? Has it come back?
older, but one of ours.
Mm,
Is it like ours?
As company, I think maybe.
So it's an older, maybe company one. I asked the doctor, you know, were there any physical injuries, or is it just the?
A small amount of dehydration, malnutrition. It looks like they'd been not necessarily looking after themselves in the time between whatever caused this and them getting back into this system and us making.
How long would that hyperspace jump be normally?
2 or 3 days.
So, does this would what I'm kind of driving at is if they're kind of like malnourished and dehydrated, but it's only been a couple of days, or should have been a couple of days.
Would these be the effects of those couple of days, or
has it happened longer?
It's hard to say without knowing exactly when this happened.
But when do you believe that?
Well, we know
happened?
when it happened because we've got the logs.
The ship came through the
Was the
wormhole.
event that caused that.
The ship came through the wormhole 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've been looking in the ship's logs. So you said it was 2 hours between the first wave and the second wave of probes, and then it turned.
And then they turned tail and headed back for the wormhole. It maybe took them 2 or 3 hours to.
So we're
Get to the
essentially
wormhole
looking at a few days of space travel. So if I say to the doctor, well, they were coming back through the wormhole, 3 days plus 3 hours before, is this kind of consistent with it?
The symptoms that they had when we picked them up, yes. It took about a day for us to get rescue ships out to the Intrepid and haul it back in, and then we picked them up and got them back here.
So were they not taking care of themselves?
No, not at all.
It was.
There's
no evidence to say that they weren't taking care of themselves before that point. So the duration of the time that they would not have been taking care of themselves is consistent with that point in time, as far as we're aware.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really not sure what else I can kind of answer. I can't really draw any of them out into. I just speak to one of them. Just, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
That's a question.
Could you try doing that mind link with them?
I presume that the doctors would have already tried that. I asked the doctor, is this normal behaviour for somebody who's a void worker, or does it look like maybe there's some sort of PTSD as well?
I believe it to be a combination of trauma from whatever events. Don't forget the rest of the crew died.
Yeah. Because I'm wondering if their kind of reticence is less to do with them becoming void walkers and more to do with them just choosing not to remember the things that have happened.
When you say the rest of the crew died,
Are the bodies,
exactly,
or were they just gone?
No, they were bodies.
They were bodies.
Yeah.
Did they look like they'd been
how did they
foul
die?
play, violence?
Was it in the fact that they were in the part of the ship that was severed and they got expelled to space?
No, the rear end, the shunt drive, obviously was right at the back of the ship. you obviously know shunt drives, you can't be too close to them anyway.
Just like the Nokias that we've armoured ours with.
Yeah. The rest of the crew were all in the actual business end of the ship at the front, along with these four, and generally speaking, they all suffered from massive cranial hemorrhaging.
Internally or accidentally caused?
We couldn't find any entry points. It looks like
And
it
they
was an
were
internal.
all life cattle.
Oh, you know, on our other mission with the people who stole the ships and stole
Yeah.
probes and all the things,
Yeah.
we have pictures of those. Were there any older models of the kind of probe things that we may have pictures of, which you could draw up and say, does this look familiar? Does this look familiar? Does this look...
I'm going to speak to the doctor first before I start showing anything to them, because if it was, say, the shadows and it was them that did it, and I show it to them, it could do them more damage.
Yeah.
So
You said the captain made a decision, so the captain's still alive, but just not with these four, or did he die on the way?
No, he died on the way.
so
When a ship goes out, especially something like a research ship,
Mm-hmm.
generally medicals have done all the stuff before they go to check that they're okay to go. Is there anything different between the rest of the crew and these four that means that they could have survived any trauma better than the others?
and furthermore, is there anything obvious, with the exception of the obvious, that's different about their medicals now to their medicals before?
The only thing that we've come across is that the cortex connectors that these four have aren't working.
So I am going to say to the doctor,
Why? Why aren't they working?
Can't tell, the circuits are burnt out.
I'm going to say to the doctor that I'd like to show them a picture to see if they recognise something, but I'm worried that it might. Is it something that you, in your medical opinion, is it going to be? Because I'm all about not doing any harm and all of that sort of stuff.
My duty of care is to rehabilitate these four as best possible. For the last 2 weeks, we've been doing what we can do. Physically, they're as well as they can be.
Okay.
Their if glands are present; they are just not working.
Okay.
If it was neurological shock that has caused this, coupled with whatever they encountered out there, I don't want you to make the situation worse, but at the moment we're really, really running out of ideas.
Okay, so I presume I've got some sort of data pad sort of thing. I'm going to
It's
call
in
up
your
some.
boot.
Sorry,
It's in your boot.
is it in my other boot?
Yes, in your other boot.
Excellent. So I'll call up some pictures from our excursion with the shadows and all of those things, and kind of show them to them, see if I get any reaction. Is this your car?
Oh, interesting looking ship. Oh, that's a creature. Interesting. What's next?
So no reaction.
Do you reckon I could try and fix the cortex connector?
No.
They wouldn't let you near them, I shouldn't think.
Why?
At
Don't
the moment, I'm
love
going on goodwill. If I say,
everyone.
"Oh, I've got a Corvo friend that would like to come and play with their skulls,"
But when
All
you
the other members of the team have cortex connectors.
yeah, I have cortex connectors.
This isn't a biological thing, is it? It's something that's done after birth.
Yeah, that.
So then
They're
there's the
implants.
possibility that one wouldn't have one. But obviously theirs had fried, and possibly fried either during or before this event, and therefore whatever fried the rest of their brains, and literally fried the rest of the brains, couldn't get through because of this broken connector.
Possibly.